We just kind of riff for a bit, and then I'll get into the I'll
Yep.
go into mine first, and
Uh,
then we go to.
yeah, and you'll hear my cue when we go live again if you want to bring up the link.
There it is.
So, Joe, is that a Californian bear on your hat?
I don't know. I got it because it has Chicago Bear colors, because it's blue and orange. So I thought it was like it's not a Bears hat, but it is a Bears hat.
Hey. Oh, you can't even see it. Wait. Go Bears.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Play the piano?
I think that's Miles. Miles likes to play the piano. And Fraser Crane. Funny episode of Frasier is when they all eat weed brownies on accident.
I haven't seen that one. At their time, huh?
It's great because it's a Christmas episode. It's called High Holidays, and it's one of the later seasons. And they all accidentally eat weed brownies. It's pretty funny. Even his dad.
That'd be funny if the actors actually did that.
Method.
Yes.
Actually, the guy who played the dad, what's his name? John. He passed away not too long ago. He's a Chicago actor.
The father?
Yeah.
Martin? Yeah.
hmm
He is in a lot of.
John Mulroney? No. Something. No. Something Irish.
Give it a look. Give it a look.
I don't know how you can figure that out.
Frasier, Dad, John Mahoney.
Wow, I was close. Mahoney.
Mahoney.
This episode is dedicated to John Mahoney.
Mm-hmm.
That's the perfect month as well to dedicate to a nice Irish TV dad. What was the weather like out there today, Joe?
I mean, we still got snow on the ground. We're not as
No.
we're not as warm as you guys are yet.
Yeah, our snow should basically all be depleted. It was probably mid 60s today. Probably the windiest day we've had all year by far.
hmm
They're gonna blow over.
And now all the dormant dog turds are springing up in the ground as
Oh
well.
my God.
Yeah, you gotta be
Yes.
careful.
Yeah, and then the wet grass, the allergy season. You know, this is where I start sneezing for about 3 or 4 weeks in a row. You know.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. Over in New York City, where they got like the most snow they've had in a long time. Once that thaws, all that garbage is gonna resurface. 'Cause, you know, they just put the garbage on the street, gets covered. Then springtime, surprise, you're gonna have a lot
Yeah.
of. You're gonna have a stench,
Oh man,
real
I can
bad
smell it.
stench.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we didn't have the recycle guy come for 2 weeks. I thought like the whole world was gonna end.
It was more than 2 weeks. It was like
Okay.
it was about a month.
Yeah. Because the alleys were just too. There was just too much snow. These
Yeah.
guys were like, we're not driving down there.
Yeah. Uh.
Nobody knows what to do with their cardboard boxes, their bottles.
Oh, it's crazy
Yeah.
over here because I'm in a building with like three other units, and they come every other week with recycling, and so everyone has stockpiles of recycling. So every 2 weeks, it's like get out there, bring the can back in, and stuff it full, and then it's full within an hour. It's full. If you miss it, you're just living with boxes everywhere.
I love how you guys have like these nice. We're live, by the way, now, gentlemen. You guys have these nice, cool, fun backgrounds, and it's just my bed.
That's a fun background. That's where the magic happens.
Oh yeah, I got the Powerade and the book. Real smooth action.
Yeah.
So
hey, reading is intense, man.
Yeah, you're in the Matrix. What's going on there? Is that Matrix?
Yeah.
He's the one.
I'm here. Yeah.
He knows kung fu.
Mm-hmm.
And then Erwin, you mentioned that that's the Fraser. We're dedicating this episode to the Fraser dad.
Yes.
R.I.P.
Joe Frazier, also a boxer.
John Mahoney.
Mahoney.
There we go. We forgot his name already.
Not to be confused with Joe Frazier, the boxer.
No.
Did he come up with the grill? Who's got the grill?
George Foreman. That's who you're talking about.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I used to have one of those little guys on my countertop in college.
He made some crazy money.
Outside's nice and burnt, but the inside's raw. So.
Yeah, big R.A.P. to that guy.
That's an issue.
George Foreman's dead?
No, Joe Frazier, the other.
Got it. Rest in peace.
Yeah. So yeah, how are you guys doing? Just to welcome all of our viewers back here. Another week, we're back. It's starting to get warmer. We're inching closer to the middle of March now. We've officially, we're right about at the year mark of this pandemic. How you guys feel? Hope you guys are doing okay out there.
Yeah, appreciate it, Joe. I mean, February was a very short month. I think we got together twice, which is pretty impressive, in a short month. But no, like I said, I think the weather changing. Everybody, sun's out. Everybody's going for walks. There's dogs everywhere. Joe had mentioned that the poop is starting to come out from all the snow, obviously melting. And for the most part,
lovely sight.
Yeah, everybody looks like being in a good mood. Grocery stores are getting a little bit more crowded. Traffic's getting a little bit more crowded.
Getting more aggressive on the streets, which I like.
Yeah, aggressive. Yeah. But March is always one of my favorite months of the year. A lot going on. Paddy's Day, March Madness, baseball's around the corner. It's always a fun month to kind of get the year started.
Yeah.
It
really doesn't start until March. January, February is kind of a slog, and once the sun comes out, it's ready to you're ready to get out there and have some fun. What do you guys got planned for St. Patrick's Day? Anything fun? Or is anything open at this point?
Yeah, but the local parade was canceled again, second year in a row. Obviously, that's a big bummer. That's our big favorite parade that goes by the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Obviously, the big one downtown is canceled. That was kind of no question.
Yeah. And the South Side one also canceled.
But we'll probably get together with some buddies or something, do something a little locally. Play some good Irish tunes. Now you guys can hear it in the background right now.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
It's likely that there will be an impromptu parade. Just, got a lot of rebellious people out there who want to march in the streets.
Yeah.
And
sure.
Excuse to do it.
Just looking for a reason.
Yeah. And, I really miss getting hard candy whipped at me.
Yeah.
One of my favorite traditions of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know some places are, had 50% capacity. I was looking at Instagram today, and I saw that in Niles, local bar restaurant Howard Street Inn is, they've got their St. Patrick's Day decorations, and they're posting all month, being festive for St. Patrick's Day. Just a little bothered by one small detail, though. On all their posts, you know how you can use emojis, like smiley face, thumbs up, shamrocks, maybe a rainbow and pot of gold.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're using an Irish flag, right? What they think is an Irish flag. But it's not. they're using an Ivory Coast flag on every post. Every day they've been posting something, and they're putting Ivory Coast flags on everything. And the funniest thing is people are like commenting on the post, and they're doing it too. It's like no one knows, because granted, it's the same colors, but reversed, right? I was amazed that got by so many people.
Did you call them out?
I haven't yet. I'm doing that now. I'm using this platform to voice my concern, and I think our fans will maybe take some actions. But I just want to let everyone know.
Maybe we'll have to clip this and comment under their under their picture, and let them know that.
Let them know that we know.
On the flip side, Joe, this could be another case of the Mandela effect that we were talking about before.
That's true.
Think the Irish flag is ordered one way, but really, you're living in the wrong reality.
It's a great callback to one of our previous episodes. If you guys haven't checked it out, it's probably taken down by now because I just continually get copyright infringement on whatever platform we use, but that's not going to stop us.
No.
What we've done is we're able to record our Twitch sessions after our episodes are published, and I can then go in and create clips and save some of the audio just in the event that we are being taken down for copyright, because we got music playing, we got YouTube, a lot of the stuff that we're really not supposed to be doing, but we want to keep it fun and informative for you guys. So to hell with Bezos.
Yeah. Yeah, he's...
But thanks for letting us use your platform, man.
We appreciate you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just, yeah. Thanks, Jeff. So yeah, that's just that's good. Things are good. Things are moving forward. I just thought I'd bring that to everyone's attention. The Irish flag has the green on the left-hand side and the orange on the right-hand side. Ivory Coast, opposite. So, just so you know. But yeah, so things are good. Things are getting in my neighborhood over here, and even it's starting to get warmer. And I was telling you guys a little bit before the show, I was out for a walk last week, and we ran into a bear in our neighborhood just walking down the street. And I think they're coming out of hibernation, looking for some food. It's that time of year. And I never ran into a bear before, so I was a little spooked, but I'm here to tell about it.
What do they
Did you
tell
say
you?
anything?
Yeah, they tell you to just stand still or back up. What I guess what did you do?
Luckily I saw him, or we saw him, probably about 40 to 50 feet away, and we just backed up and went the other way. We weren't close enough that there was a real confrontation, but I think it depends on the type of bear.
If there's cubs involved.
Yeah, if it's a black bear or a brown bear, I think I don't know if anyone knows in the chat. I think let us know. But I think brown bears are usually bigger and they're a little bit more aggressive. But a black bear will still attack in certain conditions. Luckily, this was not one of those times. But
I think it's with the black bear. You want to make yourself large, where you want to do the splits, get your hands out there,
right,
aim in a little bit,
right, increase your mass.
Yeah.
Expand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear people in the chat if you've had any encounters with bears. Probably rare, but any type of wild animal that maybe you've come across in the wild or maybe in your backyard where you weren't expecting it. Would love to hear from you guys. Joe, I know you've encountered a couple different wild animals before. I'm pretty sure you've had an encounter with a jellyfish. Is that true?
Yeah, that's not something I like to bring up in public, but yeah, I did. It's a pretty traumatic experience. Twice, actually. In 3 days, I was attacked by a jellyfish. Yeah. And the second day, I didn't go in the water because I was like, well, I'll probably get attacked again. And then my cousins were like, come on, that's impossible. There's no way you're going to get attacked again. So it's like, well, on the third day, all right, let's go boogie boarding. So waves, riding the waves. Next thing you know, one latches onto my leg, and that was it. Got out of the water, screaming. A nice he looked like a jacked Santa Claus. He carried me out of the water. I didn't know who he was, but
Just some savior on the beach.
he was in the, yeah. He's like, ran out there, you know.
So I gotta ask, did he pee on you?
No, he didn't pee on me. I pissed myself, but so there's no need for anybody else to do it.
So you just like peed in your hand and started, because isn't that how you?
Right, because that's how you get rid of the sting, right? You gotta
That's what they
pee.
tell you to do. Yeah, I kind of want to live with it because I
Like
didn't-
Moises Alou.
Exactly. You know, funny thing, I was, going to get into this on another episode, but I've been reading that if you wanted to, it's just a small part, to trip balls on mushrooms, you can take the mushrooms. Some people, like Siberian shamans, will actually take them, piss, and then drink their own piss or drink somebody else's piss who's taken it.
Hmm.
Gets you even higher.
I think I knew a couple TARS kids that have done that.
Sure.
Not necessarily, the practice of taking the shrooms, but I know a couple guys that have drank some piss.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Maybe they have family lineage that ties back to Siberia. I don't know.
We all do.
Yeah, maybe they're shamans.
Shout out St. Tars, no longer. But what other animals have you guys run into? I can tell you guys one. One time there was a bat in my upstairs at my parents' house. That was kind of crazy. Just flying around upstairs.
Yeah,
That was.
I've dealt with bats.
We had to get a cardboard shoe thing and try and trap it. And ever since then, I've been extremely afraid of bats.
Oh.
Yeah. I also saw a deer get hit by a cab at Devon and Central.
Hey.
That kind of right over in your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
That kind of scarred me as well. So anytime I see a deer or a bat, just something about it, I don't know, kind of spooks me out. So
Well, I know someone named Bruce Wayne who used that fear of bats to become a bat, a Batman.
So you could be Deer Man, Quinn.
Yeah. You can be a deer man.
you can call me Uncle Buck.
Hey! There we go.
Yeah, you could have antlers. You can.
Mhm.
Fun
A lot
fact.
of ways you could take
Fun
that.
fact. Uncle Buck. We knew a girl at college. She used to date one of our buddies. Her house was filmed in the Uncle Buck movie, and when he goes and grabs the drill from the car,
Mm-hmm.
and he's looking for
Right.
Bug, I think his name is,
Yep. It's
and he
fun.
comes back in and he drills the door. I'm pretty sure that was her room.
Wow.
Kind of a fun fact. Yeah. Up in
Right.
Northbrook area. So, Uncle Buck, great movie. Rest in peace, John Candy.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, all those SNL actors of that era, a lot of them have gone too soon. A lot of them are still around, but they've led interesting careers after that. Dan Aykroyd is one that he was in so many huge hit movies like Ghostbusters and Blues Brothers. And in recent years, he's sort of gone on. One thing that a lot of people don't know about Dan Aykroyd is that he wrote Ghostbusters with Harold Ramis based on the story of his family. They were all really into paranormal research and things.
Really?
And yeah.
I
So
didn't know that.
Ghostbusters is actually like using his family sort of experience as into a comedy movie. And
I
so
wonder if
even
that was if something had happened in the house, or if it was like learned, watching animated horrors or something growing up, or I'm always curious how people get into the paranormal
No,
stuff.
I think Yeah, I think a lot of it was from firsthand experience, and a lot of it is actually tied into. I think it's more into like UFOs is what his experience as like younger in his younger age. And so even now he's sort of devoted his life to, or he's getting more and more involved in paranormal research, and even his Crystal Head vodka is reference to like the crystal heads that are supposedly magically put onto Earth from aliens and all that. But yeah, it just reminds me of that. And speaking of that, I don't know. I was just wondering if you guys wanted to get a little bit into like some of these sort of that we were talking about last week. These sort of call them conspiracies. You can call them paranormal um, phenomena, unexplained things. I don't know if you guys want to get into that, but I've brought a couple of stories. I got a story to divulge to you guys and the audience, and
Yeah, I think that would be fun, especially. I mean, Dan Aykroyd, he's from Chicago, right?
Canada.
yeah, he's from Canada. Yeah.
I just assume all those SNL guys from that around the time were Midwest, Chicago, somewhere.
You're thinking of Tommy Boy when he's doing the Chicago accent.
Yeah.
The American working man, because that's who I am. That's who I care about.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I agree with Joe.
Yeah,
Zelensky's.
that seems like we should definitely stay on that topic because we had a lot of good talking points last week. And you could really just, kind of, even I'm talking about that that Netflix doc that I had touched on, paranormal, what happened to her. It wound up being, there was a plausible solution at the end, but it didn't seem like it at the time. And
Still not buying it.
maybe there was another something other involved that were steering her in the wrong direction, if you will.
I don't know. I think so. I did a little bit more research, and I still think someone was in that hallway, put her up in there. That's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
But
and then maybe when she was up on the roof, then she panicked. Something. How do you get in that hatch? I don't know. Yeah, it's gonna be disputed for, forever.
Right? Yeah.
Nobody will know.
Well, hopefully this next story, maybe with the help of our viewers, those at home, we might get some leads into what may have occurred. In the story I'm about to divulge onto took place. The story begins in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, 1966.
West
Outside.
Virginia? Okay.
Outside, yes.
I'm just trying to get a landscape, pretty poor region, right? 1966. I'm trying to get into that era. Okay.
Town of Point Pleasant, nestled around the Ohio River, has a large bridge that goes over the river called the Silver Bridge. In 1966, some onlookers were said to have observed some sort of large bipedal winged humanoid creature. They described him as 7 feet tall, with a wingspan of 10 to 15 feet, depending who you ask. Can fly up to speeds of 100 miles per hour.
What?
And when faced to you, you would only see a big dark figure with 2 large red glowing eyes. He appeared at the Silver Bridge, is where he was first observed, this creature. And those who saw him referred to him only as the Mothman.
The Mothman.
He appeared at the Silver Bridge, and strangely, after that, he started becoming seen more and more often around the Point Pleasant area. And strangely, exactly to the day 13 months later of the first sighting of the Mothman at the Silver Bridge, Silver Bridge collapsed into the Ohio River.
What?
Holy shit.
I wonder if that was a leap year. Maybe we can go back and fact check that.
Not. Yeah, I'm not sure.
So
That would have been 1967.
13
so-
months though. I'm just trying to think. Okay.
Yep.
Jeepers
And,
Creepers. Richard Gere did it, as people in the chat are saying. Thanks for that, Sandoval. That's definitely a.
Mhm.
I-
I'll get to that. I will get to that.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for mentioning that. You guys are definitely on point there.
You guys
I
are
guess-
into it.
Can we go back a little bit? I have a couple questions that I'm sure.
Sure.
I mean, we all do. Okay, so I'm assuming it was a bunch of different hand accounts.
Yes.
From all over in that region, right? Because 1966. It's not like people had cameras, people had this, people had that. There was radio. I'm sure there was TV, there was news, but it wasn't anything like where anything could have been broadcasted. So one, if there's a bunch of different people seeing something similar, there's got to be some weight to it.
Hmm.
Two, I immediately thought West Virginia. You talked about the wingspan, maybe a big bald eagle or something like that. But it seemed like it was. I mean, it had like a full-length human body type deal. So that
Yes.
typically if an eagle's flying, it's you're not gonna really see.
4 limbs.
Yeah, you're not gonna see it like vertically. You're gonna see it like horizontally.
There are some photographs from the time period, and as expected, they're kind of rushed and kind of grainy, and it's hard to prove their validity. But soon after the collapse of the bridge, no one in Point Pleasant wanted to talk about the Mothman. But surrounding areas, his legend grew. It was a modern folklore. Some said he caused the collapse. He was the reason the bridge collapsed. But others said that he was there to warn the people of the catastrophe before it happened.
So
And
I guess
yeah.
his sighting though wouldn't that have brought more people to the region and the area as like a sightseeing thing?
it did.
So
did.
one, that could have had the opposite effect of him giving this warning signal, but then two, it could have, I mean, he might have just been trying to do his due diligence and warn the people that this spot, there's this hot spot that's going on here. And,
We'll never know because he's never spoken to anyone.
I think that's his main problem. He should have just
Yeah.
told them, you know?
Yeah. He
Who would have
he didn't.
believed him? Yeah.
So this sort of question was he warning or was he fulfilling a curse? On the spot of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, there was a battle between the original pioneers and the Shawnee tribe that was commanded by or led by Chief Cornstalk. And there was a bloody battle where all the Native Americans were massacred, and
Wow.
the Chief Cornstalk became known as the Curse of Cornstalk, that cursed the town for 200 years. So that plays into maybe the Mothman is some sort of curse tied to this. Maybe not. Depends on what side of the fence you're on. Another explanation, a little bit more rational. Some scientists in the area have explained that the Mothman is likely a sandhill crane, which has a 7-foot wingspan and has a darker tannish white face with red colorings around the eyes.
Okay.
Do they fly 100 miles an hour though?
I don't think that you can fly that
Mm.
fast. Another explanation of the bird type is the barred owl. Barred owls have really big eyes, even for owls, And there's a phenomenon called eye shine, where the blood vessels around the eyes make them glow red in direct light. So when you view them in a certain light, you know, when you sometimes when you take a picture of like a dog and the eyes are like glowing,
It's always like that, yeah.
it's kind of like that, but
Mhm.
even bigger as this sort of shape is flying at you. And I was thinking about this, and sometimes, you know, it's hard to tell the size of an object that's flying because there's no point of reference, right? It's just in the sky. Like if you have a model airplane that's flying, in some angles it might look the same size as a regular size airplane. So there might be some validity to that claim. And it might be a bird. So, as we said in the chat, a few years later, Richard Gere stars in the film The Mothman Prophecies, which was based on the book, which really just drove the legend all around the country, really. And even today, the town has Mothman Fest every year, and it's
Huh.
sort of made it's sort of like one of the more well-known cryptid creatures in the country, and people come and kind of like Roswell, New Mexico, and sort of these areas.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and Point Pleasant, West Virginia, has become the mecca of the Mothman. You know, and at first I think the locals maybe resented it, but they're raking in a couple $1 million a year just on the people coming to this festival.
Yeah, you got to embrace that, especially, you know, small towns type stuff where, yeah, I mean, people are coming from all over just to get a glimpse of, you know, that specific spot. Then they see the landscape. Oh, it's actually a beautiful city, West Virginia probably, and so
Yeah.
on. I have a couple of questions. So you're an engineer, Joe. I guess I'd like to know
Allegedly.
the type of make and model, or I guess whatever, what kind of bridge was it? You know, where did it collapse? What part of the bridge? Were there weather conditions? Were there people on it? Were there cars on it? Like, you know, I'm assuming you don't have all that details in front of you, but those are the questions that I'd want to be asking just to kind of try and debunk anything that would be scientifically we could, you know, resolve. But I don't think it has, you know, we have that right in front of us. So we're probably just going to have to, you know, assume that it was, you know, maybe that Native American that you had mentioned, that curse, you know,
When did that curse start? What year?
yeah,
You know?
it's got to be late 1800s. I feel like we lost Joe.
All right. Well, because he did say it was 200 years. So,
I mean, Native Americans, you know, that's got to be later 1800s, right?
it'd be earlier. I mean, we've been treating them like shit for a long time. I think the curse might still be going on, so I don't know if they should be celebrating it, to be honest.
What do you have any? What are your initial thoughts? Because I've got questions. Like I said, I'm more of scientifically trying to.
Oh my God,
Well, you're back. You're back. We got you.
Did Mothman get you?
Did
you guys,
Did the Mothman?
that was spooky when I started talking about it.
Yeah, they're trying
Everything
to.
shut out. Everything shut off in this house.
They're trying to gray out our airwaves. They can't let you.
Oh my God.
Mothman got Joe.
Oh
Everybody's
my
in the
God.
chat's freaking out. Dude, you better hide your IP address.
Oh my God.
All right, we're definitely there's definitely some weight to this this myth. I don't know if it's even a myth. I mean, it seems like it's real. You just got booted from the Zoom chat because you were bringing up, you know, truths around this
I know.
myth.
Well, yeah, sorry you guys. I can't, but I think I'm dealing with something I can't control at this point.
You gotta make sure your doors are locked.
Man.
Make sure your carbon monoxide thing's working. Got the batteries, everything.
Think some garlic over your door frame.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sprinkle
it's
some
spooky.
holy water. Yeah.
It's spooky, you guys.
You might need to
But,
sacrifice that bear you saw.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I guess I should just continue on because the story doesn't end there.
All right.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I can make it to the end without.
You
Getting
keep
cut
looking
off
over your
again.
shoulder. There's some serious concern over there.
What are you hiding?
Well, as you know, where I left off, Point Pleasant, West Virginia, has become the mecca of the Mothman. The Mothman doesn't only appear in West Virginia. In the last few years, observers have repeatedly reported they've seen the cryptid over 500 miles away from its first sighting origin point, in none other than Chicago's O'Hare Airport.
What?
Fuck.
That's a ways away, because Chicago to St. Louis is what, 250 miles? So Chicago,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Chicago to West Virginia. That's far.
Well, he can fly.
But why the airport? Did he take a plane there?
There's been repeated sightings around O'Hare, and I worked by O'Hare, and I remember hearing about it, and people were it was happened enough that people around the area were talking about it, like a block away. Like they're like, someone saw the Mothman. Like I would go out to lunch and people would be like, yeah, like someone saw the Mothman.
You know what? I think I heard about this. I used to work in Elk Grove Village myself.
Yeah.
And this is
Yeah.
coming back to me now. I just didn't realize they were related.
Yep.
Huh.
So one of the biggest, multiple people have seen it, but I have to share with you right now is a eyewitness account from Manuel Navarrete, a USPS sorting. She worked at a sorting facility at O'Hare.
Shout out USPS.
And here is her account of what happened. I think this was in 2019. I just left work at the USPS sorting facility at O'Hare at about 11 p.m. on Thursday. I was walking out to my car when I saw something standing at the far end of the parking lot where I usually park. At first, I thought it was a very tall person with a long coat, but as I got closer to my car and unlocked it, I turned on my headlights. My headlights hit the person standing about 20 to 25 feet from my car, causing it to turn and look right at me. Saw that there was not some person, but some red-eyed creature, and what appeared to be a coat were actually wings as it spread out as it turned to look at me. At first, I thought it was some kind of very, very large bird, but I've never seen any bird that stood almost 7 feet tall. I'm 5'4", and this thing looked taller than me by at least 2 feet. And then the thing started making some type of chirping sound, almost a half chirp and half click, like someone was clicking their tongue, but much, much faster. It then made some type of screeching sound and took off running towards me. It got within 10 feet of me, and I went and took off into the air and flew right over me, above me. I was screaming hysterically as I crouched down,
Oh my god.
dove into my car head first. I tried to start the car and lock the doors and close and lock the doors. I started the car and took out of the park and flew out of the parking lot down the road until I hit Mannheim. I got home and told my husband, who also works at the same facility, and he was the one who told me about the other sightings of this thing in the area.
I remember
was- Yeah. And she basically then just says this is roaming around the area, scaring people half to death, and I hope the airport people decide to do something about this someday.
I'm gonna file a complaint.
Yeah.
this is all coming back to me. I had no idea these would have been related.
Right. And so, to conclude, I ask the audience, is the Mothman a harbinger of doom? Is he trying to warn us of something to come? For those of the audience in the Chicago area, the next time you find yourself alone at night, keep your eyes peeled for two glowing red eyes and your ears open for the flapping of leather wings. And no matter what side of the fence you fall on, believer or skeptic, the only thing that we need to remember is we must keep watching the skies. And that's my advice, and that's my story.
That just gave me a big chill.
I got the pimples all up and down my legs, Joe.
Good. Thank you. It's good. So yeah, that's my story. That's my story for this episode, and those in the chat, just keep a lookout, man, because you don't know what might be lurking in that parking lot. That
Makes me think.
strangely tall man in an overcoat might be the Mothman.
Makes me think. You said what were the two types of birds you said? There's the owl and
An owl and a crane. A type
crane.
of crane with red eyes. Yep.
Cranes are not native to O'Hare, so thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Mothman.
It's got to be. But is he warning about some sort of collapse at O'Hare?
I don't know. There's always been a lot of strange activity at O'Hare. If you look
Like
up-
the guy who just was living there for what was it, 3 months? Hear about that?
Yeah, that was strange. Not necessarily paranormal, just weird. But
Strange human activity, yeah.
yeah.
But good for
It
him.
was a Nigel Crane, says Sandoval.
Nigel Crane.
So I
Yes.
kind of want to go back to the Native American
Good catch.
theory on this one. So I mean, Big Plains, there was a lot of Native Americans that lived around O'Hare. We have a lot of rivers and cities in the Chicagoland area that are named after Native Americans.
Chicago. That was the Native American name.
Yeah, there you go. And I'm Joe Dirt knows this. I'm reading a book right now.
Your day.
I'm reading a book right now on how a lot of the Osage Indians were killed off for their oil lands in Oklahoma, which I'll be presenting on in a couple of weeks here. So that's really why it hit my ticker as to maybe there's something beneath the surface there on how poorly these people were treated, and there's already this folklore of curses and just history of these people where stories and stuff get passed along from generation to generation, and that's really how they were able to succeed in their tribes, and they still are today. And I kind of want to look into that a little bit more and do my own research.
Yeah.
Because that would be, something. To me, that's my Dan Aykroyd version of he had the UFOs. Somebody's got something in their attic, but for me, it's something or some peoples in history that are maybe coming back that we just don't see their physical being or something like that.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
Yeah. You don't know.
So yeah. Mothman.
Mothman cometh in the night.
That was a very interesting one.
Thank you.
I'm glad Sandoval and a couple of people knew what you were talking about too. Like I said, I knew a couple of things here and there. I just haven't really thought about that. It'd be cool to go in West Virginia and see that. Is it near the Smoky Mountains, Joe? Aren't you going there?
Going to Smokies pretty soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
But not closer than Chicago for sure. Yeah.
Well, you better keep your head up.
Yeah.
I will. I'll be looking for bears and Mothman. I've seen a bear in the woods, but never a Mothman. And it's strange because that's my favorite place to trip, But, who knows?
Well, yeah,
Cool.
Joe, thanks for sharing. That was
Yeah, that was great.
That was a good story. You are a good storyteller, sir.
I will not be able to sleep tonight, my friend.
Yeah. Thanks for that. I see you keep looking over your shoulder.
Why, yeah, I'm scared. I'm scared I'm gonna lose you guys again.
I would not wish that on anyone.
So, who wants to go next?
Joe Dierte, do you want to step up?
I could give it a go, but I'm a little worried now since Joe's got Mothman after him. If I talk about who I'm about to out, my entire life will be destroyed. So it'll be fine. We'll do it.
They got our IP address. They got our
Yeah.
Zoom URL. They got everything.
They got all of the information anyways.
We can't hide. It is what it is.
We're screwed.
You're in
Yeah.
the Matrix.
I mean, we're
That's
poor.
right.
What are they gonna do? Like, we don't have.
I'm all
anything.
zeros and ones, baby.
We
You
don't
know?
have anything for the taking.
No,
Joe,
it's true.
you look like Neo right now. You got like the black shirt.
Yeah, you do.
You're in.
I was gonna wear my sunglasses tonight, but
Do you take the red or blue pill this evening?
oh, both. So bear with me, everybody.
Just
The last time,
Just be patient. Just be patient.
yeah, this one's a kind of a long slog here, so stay till the end. So last time, if you guys remember, I did a little bit of exposition on the modern schooling system. You know, basically showing that probably its main goal is to make obedient worker bees out of all of us who are dependent on the state and the big corporation.
Yeah,
So-
that was a fun segment. If you guys haven't seen it, I would encourage you to go watch the last episode. It's very informative, and it really taught us how unions came about and just the the American working force in the different regions and the different industries. And the title of this episode is "The Rich Get Richer," so we're kind of playing off that again. So
Yeah, and that's the story continuing. But I'm not looking at school this time. I'm more so looking at the financial sector. So, obviously there's a lot of conspiracies going around right now about the pandemic itself and its origin. I'm not going to touch on that. I'm going to touch on some in the background. I'm coming to the present. Back then I was talking about the past in the last episode. But here, I want to talk about something that's been overlooked. And the main reason it's been overlooked is because financial news itself, it's basically drier than, like a fried turkey. Or
I didn't know where you're going there, so I'm glad you went to turkey.
or, after eating a whole box of Ritz crackers, got any water? That's what it's like watching financial news a lot of the time. But
We might have lost Joe Exotic again. I really hope the Mothman didn't go get him. But
Jesus.
I believe we lost him.
okay,
But why don't you keep going there, Joe?
we'll pray for him. So, like Joe, I'm going to start in a location in a year, just to give you a exact context. So we're starting in beautiful Jackson Hole, Wyoming, in August 2019.
Ooh, that must have been a tough summer. Really hot,
Mhm,
dry. Okay. 19.
Yeah.
So you said 1919? I'm sorry.
No, 2019.
Oh, two. Okay, so
Yeah,
all right. What
we're
up?
talking very recent.
What up, Stosh? Thanks for joining, man.
Hey there, Stash. So yeah, this is the G7 Summit of Central Bankers that took place. Not a lot of news going around when it happened, but now that we know what was talked about there and what's being talked about now, seems pretty important.
So why is a summit of a big financial sector taking place in Wyoming? Is this just a cheap area for hotels and lobbies and what? I mean,
Well,
what?
Jackson Hole is basically where uber wealthy people have a lot of like land and estates. So
Okay.
it's got a lot of privacy, right? It's Wyoming, not a lot of people around. And then, yeah, they basically, own all the land in there. So
It's harder to bug a place. It's harder to have
not
secret-
a lot of press.
secret. Okay. This is yes.
Mhm.
I see where this is going. Okay, go on.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful place, I hear. Can't afford to go there. What happened here? And Q, if you could pull up, let's see, link number 1.
Okay. I'll let you know when it's on the screen for the folks at
Great.
home.
So what they called the plan was going direct. That's what they called it, and it involved BlackRock, which is a giant financial institution that manages about $7 trillion. So in assets, and essentially what they wanted to do is, if we get that link up.
Yep, we're up.
Okay. Oh wait, you know what? I can't even see it myself. It's on the Twitch, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. 1 second here. Should have thought of that ahead of time. But
So it's a BlackRock authored the bailout plan before there was a crisis. Now it's been hired by 3 central banks to implement the plan.
Right. So central bankers had the plan, and they wanted to essentially, it's a plan to create a form of global digital currency, and they want everybody to be involved in it. And so they've got the Federal Reserve is deeply involved in this, as well as other central banks there. So Q, if you could go down in that article, if I remember correctly, there's a little bit of a timeline in the middle part of the page.
Okay.
You start reading from there, because essentially what they did is right after this meeting, the Federal Reserve's activity started bumping up big time, where they started to purchase, I think, repo, like hundreds of millions of dollars in repo loans, which sounds like gobbledygook. But what they were doing is they're basically buying all these assets to create currency. So if you also go to link number 2, I'm going to pull this up on mine as well.
Okay.
But if you see anything in that first link that you might want to read while I'm pulling it up.
So we're in link 2 now. Going direct, how central banks could deal with the next downturn.
Yeah. So that was their main thing. They were worried about the next downturn. This is in 2019, right? So, right off the bat, it's a little, suspicious there. Obviously, there's downturns. They happen in life, but the timing's a little strange. And they're also worried about, if you scroll down, I think in that article, there's a graph about China, but essentially it's a graph where the US and China cross.
Okay, right here, yep.
Yeah, what does that graph say?
So SEFF funding from central banks is used as a fiscal stimulus.
Mm-hmm.
Yields held at 0 until inflation expectations become consistent with target being achieved.
Right. So this is talking about, I don't know if that was the one. Here, I got the links now too. So I'm going to read this. Okay. Great. So are you on link number 2, Q?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Sorry about that, everybody. All right. So if you go down to page, let's see. Oh no, that's not the one I was looking for. My bad. Anyways, let's go to link number 6. This is what I really wanted. I wanted to get a quote from this one.
Okay.
And if you go down, where is it? So here's the graph.
We got a bunch of people here joining the chat. I appreciate you guys.
Thanks, everybody. So yeah, if you just read a little bit of that summary.
So the summary, unprecedented policies. Start with that one.
Actually, let's go down. Let's go to the next page.
Okay.
Here we go. And it's in bold, a soft form.
Got it.
You read that for me?
A soft form of coordination would help ensure that monetary and fiscal policy are both providing stimulus rather than working in opposite directions. As has often been the case in the post-crisis period, which obviously a lot of you guys, Joe mentioned that, that's what we're going through right now. This experience suggests that there is room for a better policy, and yet simply hoping for such an outcome will probably not be enough.
So some action. They need to take some action. So if you go down 2 bullet points in extreme form, so extreme form of going direct would be an explicit and permanent monetary. So see that permanent monetary financing of a fiscal expansion, or so-called helicopter money. So that was basically part of the plan all along, even before these stimulus bills were being passed back in 2019. And I'm not going to get into it now, but if you look at some of the names, actually, some of you might have heard of something called the direct reset. Have you guys heard of that?
You guys have heard of the direct reset in the
Oh,
chat.
the Great Reset.
The Great Reset,
Excuse
type
me.
1. If you have not heard it, type 2. Agenda 21. We're spitting straight facts as PQ. Another way for the Federal Reserve to spy on us.
PQ's ahead of the game here. So Q, if you click on number 4, link 4.
Okay.
This is just a little bit of an idea what the Great Reset is.
The Great Reset. Got it.
Mm-hmm. So there is an urgent need for global stakeholders to cooperate in simultaneously managing the direct consequences of the COVID-19 crisis. So this is recent. I think they came out with this in like December.
September of 2020.
September 2020, my bad. So this was during the pandemic and its drop. But if you look around, essentially the main part of their financial plan here was exactly what was talked about in that BlackRock plan in 2019. So has there been evidence that something fishy's been going on in this past year? And I think there has been, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, so let's get into the Federal Reserve a little bit.
And by the way, for you guys following along, we're going to have all these links in the chat. Probably post episode, we're going to send out, a synopsis of everything. You guys could take a look at these links by yourselves. We know you're going to do your due diligence on this one because this is the fun one.
Oh yeah, a lot of fun in economics. So basically, the Federal Reserve has been taking certain actions. Some call them quantitative easing, which is kind of like pumping up in money into the economy. But they argue that the money that they pump in, which are called reserves, don't actually make their way into the actual economy. They say that there's a separate economy, essentially. So we can talk about the Federal Reserve real quick, exactly what it is.
Could you just give us like a quick definition of the Federal Reserve and these different entities? I know the Federal Reserve was started in the early 1900s, and it was essentially brought into the economy to act as a cornerstone for, just big money flow, or what exactly was the purpose of the Federal Reserve and how it relates to like today's economy.
Mm-hmm. So I did send you Wikipedia. It was not in that document. It was a little bit late, but it was in the email if you want to work on that. But the Federal Reserve, it was, like you mentioned, it was formed in the early 1900s. And it really expanded in response to the Great Recession. Because
I do have the Wikipedia up, so yeah, we're highlighting this as you go.
Cool. Basically what its purpose is right now is it is supposed to just settle transactions between commercial banks. That's its main purpose right now. Because there's so many people who, want to transact across banks, but in a certain way, they can't necessarily always do that easily and instantaneously. So that's where the Federal Reserve comes in right now. If you go to link 21, that's the YouTube link. This kind of just describes how the Federal Reserve works in action with a little diagram. And if you look at the time on that video, 25:41, and then like right before 31 minutes.
Oh yeah, I had brought that one up. All right, so reserves functions. Okay.
Yeah, this guy's got a lot of good info on it.
All right.
Actually, you're a Chicago guy. But yeah, you can enjoy that. 25:41 is where.
All right, we're gonna let this one play for the folks.
Is you want to get $200 from you into Jim's account, okay? And that's fine with me, the Cool Cat Bank, because I've just gotten rid of $200 in liabilities. But guess what? There's going to be a problem with that transaction because the Jolly Jester is going to be like, wait a minute, you want me to take on your liabilities? What's in it for me? You've just wrecked my balance sheet. You just added $200 in liabilities to my side, and on my side, Cool Cat Bank side, I've reduced liabilities by $200. I'm fine with that. But the Jolly Jester Man He ain't cool with that. And you know what? He's right about that. So we've got to figure out a way to make this transaction go through. So let's figure that out now. How can we make this transaction go through? Well, there's a couple ways we could do it. Okay, one way we could try to make this transaction work and make Mr. Jolly Jester square in this transaction so he's not sitting with the $200 hole in his balance sheet is we could just transfer.
All right. Thanks, there, Joe.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, kind of clear up a little bit about what federal reserve notes are. I hope.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. So that's how it's supposed to work. But what they've been doing has not been that. They started this thing called quantitative easing in 2008 in response to the mortgage crisis, where they kind of started pumping in money to bolster up the stock market. And you could say it's gotten a little out of hand. So
2008, that obviously was the big crisis. That was only, not even 13 years ago. So this is relatively, in our back pocket.
Yeah, that was kind of their experimental phase of trying this out.
And we were pretty young, where we didn't really feel the effects. Certainly our parents would have, and the economy in general. But I don't think we really understood, at least at that time, what the heck was going on. I have an aunt who was in real estate, worked for a big real estate company. She certainly knew what was going on. And a lot of people who had a lot of money in some of these different markets around the country and the world are still feeling those effects today. But I think what you're doing here is you're helping us understand the effects of what had happened at that time and how we're kind of just faking the system and just adding some money into the system that's just not necessarily real. Am I getting? Yeah,
you are. You're getting right on it. So basically in 2008, they Wall Street guys were fucking around a lot, and they lost a lot of money and kind of blew up the market and did a lot of fraudulent activities that they never really paid the price for. In fact, a lot of these guys got huge payouts, like millions of dollars. And we all foot the bill, well, mainly our parents, but all the taxpayers did. And that's what quantitative easing was to kind of get the stock market to jump back up. And people think the stock market is helping everybody, but I don't think that's the case. I'll kind of touch on it a little bit later. Basically who has the shares, who has the equity in the stock market is not the regular guy. But anyway, so we'll get into quantitative easing a little bit, because that's the main thing that they're doing. And that's the main thing where, like you mentioned, Quinn, they're basically just making money out of thin air now. That's finding its way into the stock market, and it's finding its way in very specific places. So if you go to link 15, this is from the Bank of England. And you know how we feel about the Brits on this show.
Yeah, certainly.
But they're basically the creators of modern finance and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Tim, we touched base on a little bit of GameStop. I'll send you guys a link to what we touched base on GameStop in the previous episode or two. But yeah, we're gonna do another deep dive into that. But that was a lot of the fun we had in the last episode or two. But we appreciate your guys' interest. We know this one's a deep dive, but this is certainly knowledgeable, especially for kids our age. So we feel like this is important to kind of explain to you guys as simple as we can that, hey, I mean, we're only getting older, and things are getting more expensive and all that stuff. So we just want to make sure that we are following what's going on in our economy and our livelihood and all that fun stuff. But go ahead, Joe. We got quantitative easing up here on the screen.
Yeah, and the name itself, quantitative easing, it's like, what the fuck is that? They purposely make all these things, like obtuse and arcane. We're like, what the hell are you even talking about? And it sounds all confusing because it's kind of a smokescreen for them to take all of our money. But yeah, quantitative easing. Q, if you want to highlight, it's on the it's on the first page in the overview box. Yep. And let's see, starting with right after on the right hand side, there's the parentheses QE in the sentence that starts there.
Okay.
Yeah. So I could just read through that.
Mm-hmm.
So QE is intended. Oh, I'll go one. One possible response is to undertake a series of asset purchases or quantitative easing. QE is intended to boost the amount of money in the economy directly by purchasing assets, mainly from non-bank financial companies. That would be companies like BlackRock that were involved in that going direct that we talked about right at the beginning. QE initially increases the amount of bank deposits those companies hold in place of the assets they sell. Those companies will then wish to rebalance their portfolios of assets by buying higher yielding assets, raising the price of those assets and stimulating spending in the economy. So that's the part where we've seen in this last year, the economy recovers. We're seeing all these stock prices surge, Amazon, Tesla, all these are surging, Microsoft. This is the result of quantitative easing. And then as a byproduct of QE, new central bank reserves are created. So they're basically creating money, and then it also gets cloned in a way. And this cloned money gets, there we go, Joe. I love that. If we look at, we've got some graphs for everybody, some more visuals.
Yes.
So, Hugh, if you want to look at, let's look at, we're going to talk about the money supply first. So I think if we want to look at all of our graphs and whatnot, we want to look at clip 20. And that will take us there.
That was the YouTube one?
Yeah. That's where all the graphs are.
The whaling quote? Or no?
No, that's 14. You see 20 at the bottom there?
Reserves function?
No. So it's the second to last one. You see that one?
Freddie? Oh, okay. Yeah. This is where we got a lot of our advice. So you guys just make sure that you pay attention to this video, because this is really what, how we learned to invest money and everything like that. So
source your information.
I like to see when the stocks are high, okay, and I like to see when they're low. That's the big thing.
Interesting.
And sometimes they're really high. Sometimes they're very high. The stocks, and then you go very high. That's when you
high.
want. Yeah. That's when you want to sell, when they're very high.
Woo.
You buy them when they're down very low. Yeah. I mean, I have graphs. I have some graphs I can show you. If you pay attention to these patterns here, you can see on the graphs. I made these on my computer.
Wow.
Thanks for showing us those graphs, Joe. Those were very informative graphs.
No problem.
I know we wanted to give the people some visuals at home, so I think that that did a good job of explaining things. You're getting to some hyper details where sometimes we need a moment, take a look at a graph, it'll simplify matters, and that was obviously thanks for Tom Green for helping us out there.
Right. And like he said, you want to see when they're really, really high, right? So
Deutschmarks.
So that's where we want to. So Q, I've got another graph. It was that image I sent you.
Do you have a graph, or are you just messing with the folks at home? This is serious.
I have a real graph. I have a
Dow
real
Jones, stocks, NASDAQ.
So it's that image I emailed you. That's the first one we'll look at. Actually, yeah, that is.
Okay, I got the Fred liabilities, capabilities, or excuse me, capabilities.
Yeah. Okay. So if you're looking at this graph, this is essentially the amount of reserve notes that the Federal Reserve has put into circulation.
So what does that mean for?
So that just means, remember with quantitative easing, we said they would buy assets. So this assets and liabilities need to balance out. So this graph is actually a reflection of their liabilities, which reflects the amount of stuff that they're buying, which is basically to buy that stuff, they print their own notes.
So here in 08, there was 0. And
Mhm.
essentially there was a huge spike here in '08 running into '09, leveled off till about 2013. Then we saw a big blip there up to three. It looks like that's 300 billion.
Yeah. So this is in. I think it's actually in trillions. This
Okay.
one. Um,
And then all of a sudden here in 2020, you could tell basically
mhm.
this time around last year, February, March, when the entire world shut down, it seemed like, is really where we've seen this unprecedented spike in, again, how are we defining this one, Joe?
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. So if you look in February 2020 on that graph, the level that they had put in was $2.3 trillion up to that point.
Wow.
If you go up where basically it peaks to November 2020, it's up to about $5.1 trillion.
Wow.
So essentially, they pumped in like close to $2.8 million, like $2.78 trillion. Excuse me. So where did that money go? Well, good thing we all got $600 checks, right? um, so there's that graph, and then just to show that money specifically went into the hands of commercial banks, who then printed the money to raise stock prices through purchases. Let's look at that other graph. That's number 18, I believe.
You get just a name or a.
It's it's called M2, and M2 is basically all the checkings and savings like combined. It's basically all the actual money that's in circulation in the real economy. So if you remember, I said earlier,
Joe, I think
Oh, here
I
we
think
go.
all your numbered.
No, I got it. We're good. We're good. All right, so the M2 money
Hmm.
stock, we got you there, Joe Irwin. Yeah, we got him.
here we go. Okay, so there
Yeah,
are
I'm looking at it on my phone
Okay,
as you're sharing it.
got it.
gotta be kind of
That's why I'm seeing
it. So you'll see there actually wasn't a huge effect in '08 and all that. It's because they were really just starting to try this out. But this is essentially money stock, which is, yeah, all the money that commercial banks have put in circulation in the real economy. And if their argument was true that the Federal Reserve doing this quantitative easing doesn't have an effect on the actual money supply, then you would expect this line to continue it's increasing, but not at a huge rate, you know? It's essentially what some numbers prove is that it's like 4.4% for every 9 months. That's what you would expect the value to increase as.
Okay.
However, if you go to those dates, like February 2020,
hmm
then I think the number there is something around like 13.7.
Yep, it's at 15. Yep.
And then it shoots up
Oh my gosh.
to close to 17. I think it's like 16.9 or something like that.
Yep, we're 18. We're just on a different.
Yeah. So that's a huge spike. And if you were to continue that line the way it's drawn, that 4% increase, then you would expect the value to be 14 trillion, like 14.2 trillion. But we see that it's close to 17 trillion at the time. And again, that is almost exactly the difference that I mentioned in the last graph of that 2.78 trillion, that huge spike that we saw. It's the same amount of money.
It's incredible how a majority of these big dollars have taken place in the last, let's call it 5, not even 6 months.
Mm-hmm. And you would think, okay, well, I don't know, maybe they want to bolster the health system, maybe they want to give people money, but I saw a fact that at least a third of that $1 trillion is going to like the top 1% of people. So about $1 trillion. If you do the math for us, anytime they give us, say they gave everybody in America $1,000, right? There's about 350 million Americans. So
Probably 275 adults or some, it's not going to be full.
right. Yeah, not everybody's going
Right.
to get it. But that would put it at, just doing easy math, like 300 $350 billion, right? So 350 billion compared to almost 3 trillion. That's
Right.
a lot of money that's not being accounted for by the regular people.
And it seems like a lot of it's going to businesses that might not necessarily need the help, or I don't know if they're giving a specific percentage to folks or to businesses where you know their profit balance sheets, blah blah blah, are their whatever their expected revenue would be for a typical quarter. Are they basing it off of any type of um, like that, or is it? I mean, how much they pay in taxes per year? Are they generating it off that? What's the rhyme and the reason versus why the Marriott Hyatt Regency is getting X amount versus why is Nick and Vito's Pizza isn't getting anything?
Right. Yeah, that's a big question. People pointed that out during the year, like why are these huge companies, and even why are these huge companies still open, whereas small businesses are not, right?
Right, like the Walmarts of the world, but I can't
Mm-hmm.
go have pancakes at Joe's Shack down the street.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So these huge businesses and these millionaires, billionaires, is Bezos a trillionaire yet? Or he was for a little bit?
I think he got a divorce and that took it out of the equation.
Yeah. Um, so all this move, this money that's in there, it's benefiting the shareholders of all these Fortune 500 companies. But just a quick look. We don't even need to bring up the article, but essentially 84% of the stocks in the stock market are owned by the richest 10% of Americans.
85% you said?
84%.
Got it.
So almost, a giant majority of the stock market is only creating value for the top 10% of people.
Wow.
And this is basically the mechanism, because you hear like how, they're like having a race to the top who has more wealth, like Bezos or Musk, and how are these guys getting richer when everybody else is suffering so much? This is exactly how they're doing it, is they're creating this money. And then also they're shuttering these businesses, and they're buying up all this real estate for pennies on the dollar. So they're buying up all these businesses. If you look in the news recently, they're buying up a lot of farmland. So things are getting a little uneasy right now, I'd say. And one thing I just, a few questions I had after presenting all this. First, are the actions taken by the Federal Reserve during the pandemic, are they simply opportunistic in pushing that earlier agenda? So they saw a crisis, they're like, oh, let's jump in, and do this plan, let's accelerate it. Or was this response, let's say, was it coordinated ahead of time in conjunction with this plan? Something to think about.
So one of the first articles we brought up, and Joe, you might have bugged out at that time. I know you're still dealing with the Mothman down, or excuse me, in the East Coast. But we might have lost you for a second there. But there was a good link that we brought up initially. Again, we're gonna send these links out to everybody after this. But it talked about the opportunity. There was a definition and a term we looked at about the opportunity of a crisis where we rely heavily on these, fundamentally sound corporations such as the Federal Reserve to. It seems like we kind of just wait for them to kind of give us the, hey, here's a plan, when really we should probably have things set in place prior to a crisis. Like, why don't schools have money? Why don't nurses have money? Stuff like that. But all of a sudden it takes, this where everybody's in a panic, and it seems like, they're pumping money into big businesses and the economy for what exactly? I mean, if you're in a business, if you're in an industry that's getting hurt by something, if you're in the automotive market, if you were in the airlines market, like that's a private industry. That's you're choosing to do business in that. Not, I mean, flying is a leisure. Sometimes, people fly for business, people fly for leisure, but I mean, how can these bailouts happen? We saw it in the housing market in 2008. these big time bailouts, it's the different type of industry. If I'm in the industry of selling tacos, and we're running out of fucking meat, like, how are they just gonna generate more like cows, or how, like, you know what I mean? It just seems like it's a lot, favoring like kind of financial institutions that are able to cater to businesses on interest rates and stuff like that. It almost just seems like a Ponzi scheme at like the highest level. Like you're giving money to sell to the next guy at 1.25%, to the next guy who's selling at 3%. It just seems like it's, I don't know. And I think a lot of that has to do with just like this boom in the last 30, 40 years, where there's just so much money, so much money, so much wealth in that top 10% that you're referring to, that we can hedge and we can bet on other businesses and industries to make up for, losses um, in a year like this, where, I mean, people, this is a panic. It was terrible.
Mhm. Yeah. So you touched on a lot of good things there. Kind of, you also alluded to like what's the point? What are they trying to do, right? And what's going to be the effect of this? Because they also just passed another stimulus package, just threw in another trillion or so.
That was today, I believe.
Yeah, they just passed it. So if you go to number 12, this just gives a short little rundown. It's at the bottom. Well, actually, it's a Wall Street Journal article. It's the second paragraph.
Yep.
So it says the Fed's creative accounting combined with profligate federal spending won't end the pain for Americans. It will grow the wealth gap, which we touched on. The rich get richer, the poor are getting poorer. Inflate asset prices, so things are going to be more expensive for all of us, like you mentioned at the very beginning, Q. And it's going to accelerate the growing wealth gap between Wall Street and Main Street. So we talked about that too. Small businesses being shuttered. Wall Street's doing great, which is, good for them. And it will imperil the US dollar as the global reserve currency. That's probably the most important thing, because the US dollar is used as the currency across the world. And if that inflates so much that it's essentially worthless, what happens then? And it seems like they have a plan for that too.
It looks like the Mothman is again.
My gosh.
Yeah, we got PQ 1.9 trillion, COVID-19. Hey, that number makes sense. There you are, Joe.
Yeah. Hey, Joe.
Can you hear me? Can you hear,
Yes.
I can hear you.
hear me?
Yes. I thought you had fiber internet. Are you sure?
Can you hear us?
No, not. No, I don't have fiber internet right now, but I will. I will.
Dude, the
Some-
Mothman cometh, the Mothman taketh.
Will soon. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been rough this whole time, but I've been following on the phone though, so I'm trying to follow.
We got you. No, we can hear you. We can hear you loud and clear. I mean, your video, it just needs a little the quality, but you're fine. Go ahead, Joe B.
Up. No, I was just waiting for Joe I. Yeah. There's more I could touch on about what's to come. You can check that out in the rest of the links. I don't want to take up too much more time. But if you look in that document, number 19, something called cross-border payments, and they're essentially going to create global digital currencies, cryptocurrencies. And hopefully, for them, hopefully we all get accounts at the Federal Reserve where they can just increase their iron fist control of our lives. So that's what I got for today.
Really, really appreciate you giving us and all the folks at home that information. That's 2 or 3 episodes in a row now where it seems like I've learned more in the little 30 to 40 minute segment that I did in 4 years of college. I really wish at college they taught you a little bit more about money and all that stuff. So it's good to be kind of get educated on the masses, especially of what's going on. Not a lot of people our age watch the news and read the Wall Street Journal and stuff like that. So to be able to understand just on this macro level of uh, understanding of just what's going on and how you need to be adept at all the comings and goings of money in our lives. That's definitely very
They
useful.
don't want you to know,
Yeah, they
like
don't
Joe's
want you to
last
know.
episode.
They don't want you to know, right? Yeah, the people need to unionize and take over control of their money, which we recently saw
They don't want you to know how to work.
with the GameStop stocks.
Works.
That was people unionizing on GameStop on Reddit. That's what we talked about in the last episode. Is these people coming together? All of a sudden, everybody's working together, and they're saying, "Oh shit!" And then we saw people like Robinhood shut down their apps and stuff like that. Where, wait a second, people are unionizing and taking control of an opportunity, and we're not set up for this because we're the one that has the money, we're the one that controls the influx, the outflux, blah blah blah. I just think that you're really revolutionizing how people, like I said, I keep saying people our age, but I mean we're still young. I mean we're young in years and we're young in the mind, and all this, like you said, started in 2008, and a lot of the stuff that's gone on has happened only in the last 5 or 6 months. So it's very, very informative and very appreciated. And I just wish I was as smart as you two, because this can be useful for years and years and years to come. So Joe, we still got you there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, you sound good.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah. It is really going to be interesting, the effect of all that money influx has on inflation and the value of a dollar. And it's kind of like, as Joe was saying, all the vast majority of stock assets is held by the top 1%. And that is really the one of the main reasons you have hold a retirement fund and have investments in general, is to hope that you can make some kind of return to combat inflation. Because if you don't, less and less valuable. So it's only going to be exasperated if this inflation isn't going at the rate that it has in the past year. I don't know what's going to happen. It's not going to be good.
Yeah, a term I like to use when I'm driving and sitting in traffic and I see a guy speeding by me is, he's just racing into the red light, right? He's just racing. He's just trying to get to how quick can you get to the red light? Where a lot of the stuff we're doing now at this day and age is, stuff that you're not going to see come to fruition until you do see your Social Security, your 401ks kick in. So it's not necessarily about being quick and just doing all this stuff, but it's about understanding the longevity of the dollar and investment and interest and all that fun stuff to really understand that dude, we're not just racing the red light. We're really just trying to get there, enjoy it, be successful, be comfortable, and try and do well for ourselves. And if it's becoming one of these top 10%, well then good for you. But that's, I mean, it's just not how we've all been. I mean, first of all, it's about your birth, and all, we can get into that, whatever. But it's just interesting to kind of think big picture on this stuff.
And money is a tool for either freedom or
Sure.
slavery. And right now it's being used for slavery on a massive scale. So you got to figure out a way to get the shackles off.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back. I think I'm gonna go back and rewatch that Union portion of last episode and see how that that compares to a lot of this conversation we had today.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of overlap.
But yeah, is there? I mean, you guys want to touch base on anything else? It's it's 9 o'clock here. It's 10 o'clock over there on the East Coast. It's getting a little late for you there, Joe.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just glad that I'm able to still talk to you guys after my internet went out a few times. So sorry for the technical difficulties, but we kept it going on. And the important thing is that the whole call didn't blow up.
That is true. The Zoom
So-
stayed.
Mhm.
That was clean. I guess there's one thing,
Yeah.
we can kind of get back into the sports world to just maybe kind of end it here. We had a good Tim's in the chat about an hour ago said joining late but sports conspiracy. DraftKings just took down their odds for the Bears getting Russell Wilson. They did this for Wentz right before he got traded to the Indianapolis Colts. How much should I be looking into the Bears getting the former Wisconsin grad? Great. Thank you for that conspiracy there, Brian. I don't know if it's necessarily a conspiracy. I think DraftKings, more importantly Vegas, knows that they don't want to have a line out there where the rumors could start going with people that have inside information you can place a big bet on. So I think that this Russell Wilson news is I mean, something's about to happen. And if it's with the Bears, if it's with something's about to happen, because I think today was the first day of or excuse me, the last couple of days was the first few days of where you can tag a player, franchise tag a player. They also released the cap for the next season. So there's been a couple different things in the free agent world of the NFL that have taken place here as of late. So that's an interesting point. Do I think the Bears have enough capital, draft capital, money to do it? No. However, crazier things have been done. And I would love nothing more than for Russell Wilson to put on a Bears uniform and play at Soldier Field, probably for the next decade. That guy's he's a warrior. He treats his body like a temple.
Amen.
So I think we'll probably leave off that. Maybe
Yeah,
next
I
time
think
we're talking,
There's a definite possibility.
Russell Wilson will be a Bear.
You heard it here first.
Bears.
Bears. Badgers.
Agreed. Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for coming in and
Yeah.
talking and listening, and I had a great time. I hope maybe we'll do it again soon, maybe next week. We'll figure out a time that
stay
works.
safe with Mothman.
Yeah, that's a concern. It was only after we started talking about it, the internet started going out, so might be on. That means we're onto something.
Yeah, great stuff in the chat. You guys were great today. Really appreciate you joining in. Again,
Thanks, everybody.
we're gonna get some links out. We know there's a lot of informative stuff. If you guys want to do your own research at home, we try and compile it all in a 90-minute or 2-hour episode. But there's just so much to talk about. We really appreciate your guys' time tuning in with us, hanging out with us. Hope everybody has a great, rest of their March Madness. Baseball's right around the corner. I'm a big sports guy. And Joe and Joe, appreciate your guys' stories today. Those are a lot of fun. So we're going to let Yes take us out. So,
Yes.
all right. Take care, guys.
Bye, everybody.
All righty.
All right.
Bye-bye.